Hey everybody, it's Anna and welcome back to my booktube channel. You may notice that I'm filming from a new location. That's because my husband and I moved to a new apartment last week and we're still in the process of getting everything set up and ready to go, but I do at least have one of my usual bookshelves totally set up behind me. I think the main thing that we learned from this move was that we have a whole lot more books than we have shelf space for them. So I think that means that this weekend we're going to be going to the store and looking for new books. Oh my gosh. The sirens. Alright, so I think that means that this weekend we're going to be going on a trip to look for some new shelving. But I wanted to make a video today that was just sort of a quick little book haul update, I guess, of all of the books that I have purchased or been gifted. All the books that I've been purchased or been gifted over the last maybe like 3 months or so, something like that. So I will go ahead and get started with that. First up is this book called Little Labors. It is an essay collection by Rivka Golchin that is about her experience having a really young infant for the first time. This is not a book that I thought I would have picked up just based off of the subject matter, but I started reading it in the bookstore because I didn't know what it was about, and then I ended up sitting there and reading, maybe like 26 pages of it right there in the bookstore, so I knew that I had to get it. I've also been on a poetry kick really lately, which I guess shouldn't be surprising. I do this every so often, so I picked up a few new collections. First is Jen Campbell's The Girl Aquarium. Jen Campbell is an author, award-winning poet, and also a booktuber, and I've really enjoyed her previous books in the past. I think that this one is her first full-length poetry collection. I picked up this one, Lord of the Butterflies by Andrea Gibson, because I opened it to an amazing poem about the transgender experience and knew that I had to take the book home with me. I have The Witch by Rebecca Tamas. This is something that was recommended on Jen's channel, and I ended up adding it to my book depository order when I had her book shipped to me because I really wanted to. And then the last poetry book that I have is The Tiny Journalist by Naomi Shihab Nye, who's an author that's been active for, I don't even know, like many decades at this point. I think I first encountered her because of her middle grade novel Habibi that I read when I was maybe in middle school, something like that. And I knew she'd written poetry, but I haven't actually read her poetry in a really long time. So yeah, thought I would pick that up. I also got another nonfiction book. This is called Care Work, Dreaming Disability Justice by Leah Lakshmi Piepzna Samarasinha. This book is going to, I think, count for my disability-related book for adult summer reading for my public library. I've read a lot of other books that deal with topics of disability and disfigurement this summer, but I've used them to count for other bingo squares on the summer reading bingo board, and so like this one is going to actually be the one that gets put in the disability square. And then this is a book that my mom and dad came to visit me a few weeks ago, and this is one that they recommended. Well, really my mom recommended because she had read it, and I've seen it on BookTube before. It's called The Overstory by Richard Powers. Basically, like, we were just talking, and every time I would say something about like trees or plants or games or something like that, my mom would go, "You need to read The Overstory." So finally, towards the end of her visit, I took her to our local bookstore and I picked up my own copy of this. The only thing that I know about it is that it's long and it won the Pulitzer Prize. So this should be interesting. And then we have a couple little like pamphlets and things that I was sent. This first one here is called Skill Points, an RPG zine about learning through play. I thought that this would be an interesting read, because it's basically a bunch of things that I'm interested in. That was a really articulate way of putting that. I was also sent this local Windfall, a Journal of Poetry and Place Spring 2019 collection. This is a poetry journal out of Portland, Oregon that publishes authors from the Pacific Northwest. So I am very excited to read these poems. And then I was also sent the catalog from the Copper Canyon Press, which is another non-profit poetry publishing house here in the Pacific Northwest. They publish Ocean Vuong's Night Sky with Exit Wounds. They published works by Brenda Shaughnessy, whom I'm also really enjoying, and they're publishing Ursula K. Le Guin's posthumous poetry collection. So this next book probably will be familiar to many of you on BookTube, and that is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. If you haven't heard about this book already, it is a male-male romance novel about the, I believe, first son of the United States and the Prince of Wales, and it's like a hate-to-love romance. Basically, the reason why I want to read this is everybody that I know whose recommendations I trust has absolutely loved it, so I think there's a good chance that I will like it. And when the reading rush comes around, this is one of the challenge books for the reading rush, so I wanted to add it. I wanted to pick up a copy for my own TBR. I ended up buying this because I've been on the waiting list for it at multiple libraries, and it was just taking way too long. It was like, if I'm gonna read this summer, I'm gonna have to buy it. But I think I got it for like $10, so I don't even mind. Okay, the last book that I have not read yet is The Hormone Diaries, The Bloody Truth About Our Periods by Hannah Witten. Hannah is another YouTuber. She does, I don't know what to exactly classify her channel as, maybe like variety, sort of vlogs, but also feminist positive, sex education, sex positive channel. I don't even know, but her channel is just totally brilliant. And she has been doing a video series for the past few years called The Hormone Diaries about her experience off and on various different types of hormonal birth control. Over time, she's brought other people on to talk about their experiences with hormones and all of these wonderful little chemicals that like to mess around in our brains so very, very much. And this book just recently came out. I'm very excited to read it. I read her previous book, Doing It, which was all about like everything you needed to know about sex but were too afraid to ask. This one's gonna be fun too, I think. And then the last books, or yeah, I guess a few books, are gonna be rereads for me, but these are books that I want to reread for a project idea that I have coming up for a video series, but I didn't actually own copies of them. These are books that I read growing up, and we have like family copies of them, but they either were like my mom's versions of the books when she was little, or they are just the kind of thing that, like, since I have younger siblings, I didn't take them with me when I moved away from home because my younger siblings were still reading these books. So the first one of those is Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery. I got this in the Puffin and Bloom edition so that it would match my copy of Little Women, which is another one of those books that, yes, I had my own copy of, but it was like totally falling apart, and I wasn't so attached to that copy from childhood that I needed to keep it. I adore this book. I've read it many times before, and I wanted to add it to this video series project, which if you want to know more about, just keep looking back at this channel. I'll announce it eventually. And then the last thing was the complete box set of the Little House on the Prairie books by Laura Ingalls Wilder. These are the kind of books that I think a lot of people read in school for the first time, like when they're studying American history and things like that, but my family growing up was obsessed with these books. Like, my mom has her original box set from when she was a girl, and she has read those books to pieces. Like, the covers are falling off, pages have fallen out. And one year when I was a kid, we took like a family road trip. When we had to stay out in the Midwest for my dad's job, we took a family road trip to a bunch of the different like little houses where Laura Ingalls Wilder lived and worked and wrote her books. So I am interested to read these for a couple of reasons, and I'll go into detail when I do this book project announcement. But I actually haven't gone back and reread them since becoming an adult. I haven't read them since childhood, and I also want to read them in conjunction with the new book Prairie Fires that just came out, which is kind of like a new biography of Laura Ingalls Wilder and, you know, her experiences writing the books, and some things that are a little bit different from the very, I guess, wholesome picture we get from her book series. So I will be sharing more information about that as the project crystallizes, and I'd be happy to let you all know more about that. So those are all of the books that I picked up recently. Have you read any of these, and are you interested in maybe making the case for me to bump any of them up higher in my TBR? If yes, go ahead and leave a comment down below. On your way down, if you would be so kind as to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. That would be super awesome of you. This summer, I am on a quest to get to 300 subscribers by the end of the year, and you wonderful folks have done so great. I'm almost to 200. Thanks to each and every one of you that has subscribed to the channel since the last video, and thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.